Hello and welcome to In the Channel from channelbuzz.ca, bringing news and information to the Canadian IT channel community for the last 16 years. I'm Robert Dutt, editor at channelbuzz.ca and your host for the show. I'm recording this from Las Vegas, where I spent the last few days at ServiceNow's Knowledge 2026 conference. The big theme of the week has been what ServiceNow is calling the agentic business, the idea that we've moved past the AI pilot era and into a world where autonomous AI agents are doing real work, governed by a platform layer that sits above everything else running in your enterprise. That governance layer, ServiceNow's AI control tower, is central to how the company's repositioning itself, and it raises a real question for the channel. If ServiceNow is now the arbiter of how AI gets governed and orchestrated across the enterprise, what does that mean for partners? Who do they want to work with? How does the delivery model change? And how do you build a services business in a world where the traditional implementation and configuration work is being compressed by AI itself? My guest today is the person who has to answer those questions for a living. Michael Park is the Senior Vice President of Global Partnerships and Channels at ServiceNow. What makes his appointment interesting is he didn't come up through channel sales or alliances. He most recently led AI go-to-market strategy for ServiceNow before being tapped to run the partner organization. It's a deliberate choice, and it says something about how the company's thinking about what the channel needs to be right now. Let's get right into it. My chat with Michael Park.
Michael, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Great to be here.
You have an interesting background coming into leading the partner organization, coming from, the product strategy side, and particularly, given where we sit in the topic du jour, the AI product strategy. Was that an intentional path on ServiceNow's part? And if it was, what does it say about how the organization writ large is thinking about where the partner organization needs to be right now?
Yeah, I think it was intentional by Bill and the management team. The AI stuff is relatively new, and having the opportunity to lead AI go-to-market from the beginning and kind of, helping the organization as a whole go from zero to where we are now with it. When you're first in, you learn a lot, and, the good and the bad. And, I think, that first year in job, I did over 500 actual customer meetings, just explaining what AI is, how to get to value with it, what the platform is. And so I think when we started looking at where the market's going, we realized that, look, ServiceNow is on a wonderful trajectory for where we've come at over the last 20 years. But for the next generation, what we need to do is take everything we know and figure out how do we build for scale to enable the partners to execute with even greater scale. And so a big part of that was taking what I know, moving it over the channel, and then driving the channel. And so as you heard yesterday from the mantra of our whole operating strategy, so we must be first customer obsessed, and we do it in a way that we're AI led, but then we deliver it in a way that we're partner powered. And so it's a very simple mantra that keeps the GPC, the Global Partner and Channel Organization, grounded in what we're here to do.
A lot of channel chiefs tend to come up, obviously through sales, maybe through alliances, occasionally through marketing. When you're coming in from the lens that you have, having had AI product, what do you see that you think a traditional channel chief might not? Where are the blind spots, since that was one of the words of the day on the main stage earlier, and how the industry has been thinking about how partner programs and partner value is structured?
Well, if you go back all the way kind of through my resume, I've been in and out of product, marketing, and sales jobs. And so, my sort of special skill is I've been able to sit at the intersection of like the customer demand, the business model, and technology innovation. And I can translate between those three. Mm-hmm. And so the only difference with AI right now is the pattern for 30 years has really been the same as new technologies come in. It's just happening a lot faster. The floor of adoption has become easier because the way you can administer an LLM, which has raised the ceiling on what the art of the possible is. And so I think what I would say is it's not so much of the skill set of a channel leader or a product leader. It's the ability to think in an agile way to really sort of free your mind from a locked-in pattern, to really understand the need, the technology, and the business model and say, hey, is there a better way to create a new outcome here? And that's where I'm seeing the real great leaders emerge. I also think the other thing about AI is, the change management required to administer value, the creation of value at this kind of speed requires real conviction and the ability to really understand change management. Because the tech is the tech, but changing the behavior, the mindset of somebody, while there's also the looming threat of job insecurity, everything else going on in this world, things changing so fast for a lot of people that aren't used to changing fast, it's as much about the leadership mindset of change management as it is the adoption of the new technology.
With AI Control Tower, it seems like there's a real effort to, position ServiceNow as the governance layer, even more so than before, sort of sitting above everything else, running an enterprise. Does that change what you need from partners, who you partner with, or how you deepen relationships as you sort of build out the orchestration plus governance story?
I think the channel is always evolving to meet the needs of the market. And I think what is happening now is, you've seen this enormous surge of token consumption happen in the last 2 years, right? Now, whether you're getting the return on investment for all those tokens you're paying for is another question altogether. But the other thing that's constant that we see in the enterprise is that there's not one platform. There are multiple platforms people are using, multiple LLMs, multiple agents are being built. And one of the inconsistencies there is, do you have a consistent way of setting thresholds on token consumption across platforms in a unified way? Do you have a way to administer compliance and security or risk management protocols over MCP servers that different groups are building on different platforms? Can you administer a regulatory or a company-specific compliance or policy across multiple agents on multiple platforms? And today's answer is no, 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 no. So we see this incredible opportunity because, Rob, in many ways, we're already in the game because we have this product called IRM, Integrated Risk Management, where we do cross-company compliance and risk management and security modeling for many industries today, banking, healthcare, manufacturing, etc. And so this is just a natural order expansion of where we're coming from in the context of integrated risk management, and even IT services management, because at the end of the day, that's a catalog of IT assets that is being managed, the life cycle is being managed with a relationship to the employees. So AI Control Tower is just the next evolution where it's saying, hey, regardless of what the asset is in the AI world, we will tag it, we will track it, and we will administer policy, compliance, performance, risk management over it in the same way we've done for IT, in the same way we do for integrated risk. So those partners that have been with us on that journey, it's a natural progression for them. But then with the acquisition of Vesa and Armis, it takes us into an even deeper realm of security, with Vesa with identity, so that as every agent stands up and more human beings are stood up, we have, secure identity management over every one of those assets that can be easily administered as part of AI Control Tower. And then with Armis, the OT element of really being able to tag beyond just IT, any asset in the enterprise and administer the same process with AI Control Tower makes it very, very, very powerful in what we can do in a multi-vendor way, right? Like our game, as you heard from Bill today, is we're friendly to all because we can administer a common policy over anybody that wants to play with it. And that's a slightly different approach right now.
Security and governance, such a big area, such a hot spot in the channel, and one that a really broad variety of partners play in. Do you see an opportunity to reach out to partners who maybe historically haven't been in the sphere of ServiceNow as a result of going deeper into the security space, especially in such a high demand area?
Lots of opportunity. I think that, the opportunity for the channel is if you look at the history of ServiceNow up until recently, most of our channel was activated as a mechanism to implement software, ServiceNow software that ServiceNow direct sales sold. But I think now that we've kind of surpassing the 15 billion mark and continuing to grow at 20%, the opportunity for us to scale has to be more leveraged through the different partner ecosystems, many of which we're not even tapped into yet. So I think there's going to be growth for the existing partners that already know where we are, who continue to grow with us. And then as we get into new buying centers, there's going to be lots of partners that are existing in the security domain that will be able to use, VESA and Armis and the new AI control tower, for example, as a way to extend the security practice and build new practices on ServiceNow that they haven't had before. And what I like about that is they have domain and security that we don't, but we have a platform and technology that they don't. And the two make well together just as much as, one of our more traditional partners who really understands ServiceNow, but also is entering a new domain.
Can you tell me a little bit, obviously one of the big topics here at the event writ large has been kind of getting past proof of concept, getting past the board's excited about AI, so we have to do AI, to actually AI that proves its value and business outcomes and that sort of thing. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing in terms of enablement to help partners realize that opportunity, have the skill sets and the tools that are needed, that sort of thing?
Yeah, this goes to the operating strategy that we have of what we say AI-led. And for us, AI-led starts with my own organization, GPC. So when I took the job a year ago, one of the operating strategies I laid down is, if we cannot ourselves be AI fluent in the way we operate with our partners, we cannot expect our partners to be AI fluent. So we've been using the ServiceNow technology. We've been using Claude. We've been using Copilot. We've been using a couple other vendors to basically operate ServiceNow Global Partners and Channels Group. The content we create, the policies we administer, the training we do is all agentified now. So in the last year, what we've been able to do is essentially identify about 34% of the redundant work that's done that doesn't add a lot of value. We have administered it away. We've either automated it or we built AI agents to do that work. And we're reorienting our people to kind of do the more value-added work that is literally facing partner to help them drive business. And so a lot of our transition is that way. And if you go out and talk to partners, they will tell you, yeah, we're kind of seeing that from ServiceNow. We expect as we do that over time, our partners will also pick that up. So, if you think about the opportunity for our partners, all that we've done is also shaping into enablement we're building. Examples would be like, we have 100 billion workflows today that are already operating, most of which are not agentified. So we don't have to go build from scratch. We have to go agentify those workflows that are already running. It's a huge opportunity for partners that we cannot possibly administer directly on our own without the partner. And one of the unique things that you may or may not know about ServiceNow is 90% of the deployments we do are actually done through partner. Only 10% is direct. And so the partner already plays an important role in this, but we want the partner to go beyond that, because in this new world of AI, it's what we talked about yesterday in the keynote, is the installation, the implementation, the configuration and upgrade will become agentified in the next 2 years. So the services that they're actually driving that are 20, 30 years old are going to get compressed into a smaller order effect. But the new services we require, the skill set we were just talking about knowing how to use AI control tower, administering data graph connections, learning how to use multiple models of inference to plug in and call the ServiceNow workflow. These are all new value-added services that will help re-engineer a company the way they operate. Those are new services that will emerge. So we're super excited about that and putting all of our effort, as you saw yesterday, into getting the partners the training they need, the tools they need. It was also why, I was reinforcing the value calculator assessment tool. Is you can't just sell AI. You have to be able to go in and articulate, what is the ROI? What is the benefit I'm getting? And it has to be quantified from the telemetry of what you're getting out of the platform. So that baseline telemetry, we've already delivered, and we've asked the partners to take it, learn it, and make it theirs, right? It's not a completed product. We don't expect them to just take it and go straight to the customer. We expect them to take it, put their special sauce on it, and then bring it to the customer. But at least the baseline will help get them there faster. And then on top of that, we announce the outcome-driven services, which is using that analytics baseline to then drive into, instead of, just time and materials in the old school way, it's getting to defining that business outcome and then quantifying that outcome relative to a new form of services that we were just talking about.
As that shift happens, as workflows become more autonomous, more agentic, and per seat sort of becomes a legacy metric maybe over time, how does that change how you think about partner incentives and compensation? Does the partner model itself shift towards outcome-based, consumption-based, something else altogether? And how do you make sure that partners actually build their business around that transition?
Well, the way we measure partner value contribution today is what we call sourced. So the partner is sourcing value to ServiceNow. They're bringing us a customer, whether that's licenses or consumption of AI, it's still sourced. So to me, the metric we hold partners accountable to is sourced and adoption. They don't change. What changes is the speed, right? Like what we do expect is that partners won't source something that takes 3 years to deliver. We expect partners will source in 100 days and deliver the first point of value in 100 days, and then do the next one in 100 days, and then the next one and the next one. So in 500 days time, you've had 5 points of sourced value creation and adoption versus the old way, which was you do one source point and 3 years later, you get out the chute with some kind of value. You see what I mean? And so that I think is the new model. And this is where we think ServiceNow's platform is uniquely suited, because for a partner, if you go learn the ServiceNow platform, you can start in IT, you can move to HR, you can move to CRM, you can move to procurement, but the tools to build the agents, the tools to do the data connectors, the tools to do the querying and the reporting, the tools to do the declarative modeling, the tools to call MCP is the exact same across every different buying center. So the business model leverage to the partner is once they're trained up on the ServiceNow platform, they can administer and monetize any kind of workflow above it using the same skill set. So the economics to the partner will be a higher operating cash flow margin for the dollar of resource invested in the ServiceNow practice versus any other technology out there.
You opened the door with the words 100 days there. One of the big things you teed up on Monday and then earlier today, Bill obviously talked about was the Go Live AI guarantee, the idea of 100 days to real, active, measurable ROI on AI as a guarantee. How does that work with partners? What's the mechanic there? Is there a co-delivery model? Is it financially backstops? And what does a partner need to do to carry that guarantee to a customer, as I assume they're going to be called upon to do?
Yeah, we had a number of partners step into the offer. We obviously shared it with our most accredited partners first and asked them if they'd be interested to step in. And we had quite a few of them step in. We will prime. So the first wave out, ServiceNow will prime that particular service. It's a paid service the customer has to pay for. And then the delivery will basically be recognized. They have to buy the license, but the services is what we're talking about, right? And so upon delivery of the 100 days of service is when the last leg of that service bill will come. The way the model will work with a partner is the partner will be subprimed into the prime model for some period of time until we can get our, the operating model strong. And then as we do that with our partners and we get the tooling and we get the procedures right, we will then syndicate that out to the partner network to be able to do it on their own so they can actually prime on their own. But the first wave, we need to prime just to get that right. But the key here is to make sure that we're taking that learning and thinking about scaling and syndicating the model so that it's not taking services from the partner, it's actually replacing the proof of concept. Because typically a proof of concept takes about 100 days, right? So, but if the platform's already in ServiceNow and the workflow's already running, and all we have to do is activate the AI agent, which as you saw in stage state is already built, then the risk is just turning it on in a way that it's out of the box. And so the preconditions of this service is you have to deploy the out of the box stuff that we build because we're confident and we've seen enough now that we know we can get the partner and the customer to value under 100 days. And then the benefit is once you got that point of value in the 100 days and you've proven it, then the next projects come online very quickly. And so what we believe will happen is you get the 100 days in, it will lead to an expansion of book of business for the partners because once that's in, the customer will want to start more projects.
By nature, you're saying that over time, this is going to kind of trickle down to situations where partners are prime. I'm assuming that this is an ongoing kind of thing as opposed more program than promo, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a program. It's not a promo. The promo was the control tower offer. That was the promo, direct to customer. But the prime offer is going to be there for a while. We already have, I mean, what was interesting, the last meeting I was in was just with another partner who was like, we're all in because we're already doing it. So we're going to run this in parallel to you guys. But what we like about it is if you're going to run a program around it and create that brand and your sellers are going to activate it, we will come in behind you, right? So I think the smarter partners are already on board starting to do it that way because, again, the key here is we can easily get it into a customer who is already, up and running with ServiceNow on the core workflows. Because all we're doing is activating the agentic workflow on top of it.
Agent Fabric was another one of the big announcements. Opening the platform to external AI models via MCP. And it's interesting, you've got kind of the opening going that way with Agent Fabric and opening going the other way with AI Control Tower, keeping an eye on things from above.
Correct.
But specifically around the MCP side of things and that, are you seeing partners start to build proprietary agent skills or vertical IP on top of ServiceNow that they're bringing to market as their own thing? And is that something that you're kind of actively encouraging as a route to market?
I mean, I think with, it's actually called Action Fabric, but with I think Bill described it as Agent Fabric, but regardless of what you call it, it is basically calling the full power of the automation runtime of ServiceNow. So what I think will happen is lots of different kinds of partners will now be able to use their domain expertise in a particular industry, geography, and or segment and identify a problem to be solved, and then basically use an LLM to gain inference off the data sets that feed the LLM. And then they'll be able to very easily call the ServiceNow runtime to deliver the workflow. And then hopefully AI Control Tower will sit on top of that and administer all the other AI components that might be feeding other workflows around that. So I think the key here is to set up for flexibility in different patterns. Some people will come in through an MCP server because they're building something on the outside. Others will choose to use ServiceNow's build agent and build inside the ServiceNow platform. Others will just basically say, I'm already building on 5 other agent platforms and I'm just going to put AI Control Tower on top of it to administer common control. The design point is to create flexibility for the customer, to give them the options they need to not slow them down or force them into a particular angle. Now, the flip side of that is if we just go, hey, here's ServiceNow, and you can build whatever MCP server you want, and we don't do this Action Fabric, then that's going to create all kinds of problems because everyone and their brother will create MCP servers against ServiceNow that aren't properly administered, and there'll be performance issues. And then the question is going to be, well, that ServiceNow stuff's not working. And we're like, yeah, because you built an MCP server the wrong way, right? So part of this is also to set patterns that can be replicated with high security and high scale and high repeatability by either the customer or the partner in safe, secure, high performance ways.
And last one for me, partner comes to you and says, I want to be one of your top AI delivery partners in the next couple of years. What do you need them to build, to be, to do, to have that maybe they don't today?
Well, we have a certification path to all of the different kind of skills that a partner may choose to be in, right? We also just introduced our new SKU structure for the ServiceNow products. So in the past, you actually had to buy the highest tier SKU of our product to get AI. What changed just literally a few weeks ago now is even in the base tier product, AI is naturally embedded. So AI now becomes, certification becomes a consequence of every single product we sell now. So what we've done in getting the partners ready for that is the AI certification used to stand separately. I had to go get it.
Right.
Now it's natively built into every product that they're getting activated on. So again, and the beauty is like our products are all kind of built from the same, they're all built from the same platform, right? So once you learn the AI capability natively in IT, it's the same capability in HR, in procurement, in ERP. And that's just in terms of certification and getting our partner ecosystem up to speed technically and how to actually administer the ServiceNow platform way easier.
Right. Michael, I'm sure it's a busy week and a half for you, but I appreciate your taking the time.
Happy to. Thanks for the time.
There you have it. Michael Park, Senior Vice President of Global Partnerships and Channels from ServiceNow, live at Knowledge 2026 in Las Vegas. I'd like to thank Michael for his time, especially in the middle of what is clearly a very full week for the ServiceNow team. And thank you for listening. A few things I'd like to pull out of this conversation. First, the Go Live AI guarantee. Michael is pretty explicit that this is a program, not a promotion. The current model has ServiceNow as prime, with partners subprimed into the delivery, but his stated intent is to syndicate that model out so partners can eventually carry it themselves. If you're a ServiceNow partner and you're not already thinking about how your practice gets certified to prime 100-day engagement, that's a conversation we're starting now rather than later. Second, the services compression point is real and it's worth taking seriously. Michael said it plainly. Implementation, configuration, and upgrade work is going to get compressed in the next 2 years. The partners who come out ahead are going to be the ones who've already built the new competencies: AI Control Tower administration, Action Fabric, and MCP integration, outcome-driven services built on telemetry. Those are the new billable skills. And third, I found the economics argument compelling. The platform leverage point, that the same skill set applies across IT, HR, CRM, procurement, and every other buying center on the ServiceNow platform. It's a real differentiator for partners who go deep on ServiceNow versus spreading across multiple vendors. 5 source value points in 500 days versus 1 in 3 years is a different kind of business. More from Knowledge 2026 coming later this week, including the Canadian and GSI perspective on what all these announcements actually mean for the local market back home. If you're finding the podcast useful, we'd love for you to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and most major directories. Ratings and reviews are always appreciated and always read. Until next time, I'm Robert Dutt for channelbuzz.ca, and I'll see you in the channel.